Hello and welcome to another UCL Fantasy video. Today we are going to be looking into the round of 16 fixtures, and we're going to have a big look at all the best players and all the best teams to target. As always, if you are new, make sure to subscribe. We do lots of UCL Fantasy stuff on this channel, and I will have a team selection video out on Monday. But without further ado, let's get started. We are only 4 days away from the return of the Champions League, so we are going to have to look at starting to build some drafts and starting to look at some key players as we go into the round of 16. So we are starting off things with some information. Of course, we are going to have unlimited transfers going into the round of 16. We are also getting 4 players per team, which is an increase of 1 from the group stages. Obviously, in the group stage, you can only have 3 per team. Now you're able to increase that with 4. Obviously, there's now less teams, which means we need to kind of have more players from each of the teams. We also get an extra 5 million in budget, which obviously the bigger players, the more expensive players, are going to be the ones remaining in the competition. So we are needing the extra budget for that. Four captaincy opportunities as well, which is definitely the big benefit of the knockout stages compared to the group stages. Obviously, in the group stages, you get 2 captaincy days where people play on the Tuesday, then people play on the Wednesday, and then that's your only captaincy picks. With the group stages, or with the round of 16, you get people playing on the Tuesday, people playing on the Wednesday, and then next week you also get people playing on the Tuesday and the Wednesday, so you kind of have more of an opportunity to gamble on your first few captaincies. Say the first week's Tuesday, you can gamble on that, and then you get 3 backup captains after that if you really want to go for a differential and try boost your rank up. Also 3 substitute windows, again similar to the captaincies, you get 3 opportunities to make substitutes, and then obviously you get 3 transfers for the second leg as well. So the way this is split up is the first leg is Matchday 7 and then the second leg is Matchday 8, so the home and away fixtures obviously get rotated there. So for example, if a team has a home fixture in Matchday 7, which would be this week, they'll have an away fixture, and you can make transfers to kind of counter that. Obviously, for example, Man City have Copenhagen away from home this week. You're going to be even though it's still a good fixture, you're going to much prefer having the Man City players at home the week after, so you can use your 3 transfers to target that. So let's take a look at our fixtures then. Obviously, we aren't going to have too many green fixtures going about because a lot of the easier teams have now been knocked out. So we are getting into the harder stages and obviously the more difficult fixtures. So Tuesday the 13th of February, which is this Tuesday, 4 days away, we have Man City who are playing Copenhagen away from home, Real Madrid who are playing Leipzig away from home. Again, when you're kind of targeting these players, you want to be going for the players who are going to be looking like qualifying. So obviously you don't really want to be picking any Copenhagen players. Probably don't want to be picking too many Leipzig players either. I think you're okay maybe going for 1, maybe 2, but I definitely wouldn't be going for 3, otherwise you're going to have a lot of transfers to use when Leipzig do get eliminated. Wednesday the 14th, we have PSG playing against Real Sociedad and Bayern playing against Lazio. Tuesday the 20th, which is the week after, we have Dortmund playing PSV, and then we have Atletico and Inter both playing each other. Again, 2 popular teams in UCL Fantasy coming up against each other, so you don't really want to have 2 or 3 Inter players as well as 2 or 3 Atletico players, because then you're just guaranteeing yourself having to take like all of them out in the next round. And then Wednesday the 21st of February, we have Arsenal playing Porto and Barcelona playing Napoli. So let's take a look at our clean sheet odds. So obviously when it comes to defenders, we're going to want the players that have the highest chance of a clean sheet, and Man City are way at the top of that. Of course, playing against Copenhagen, it is going to be an easier game, and we are expecting them to go through, and we are expecting them to go very far in the tournament, which means we're probably going to want to have at least 3, probably even 4 Man City players just to target that fixture. Then you can keep them for the home fixture in Matchday 8, and then even further on when they progress quite far. So I think you're going to want 4, whether that's going to be 2, 3 attackers or 2, 3 defenders, that's up to you. We will look at the best picks in a couple of minutes. But we do have Bayern up there as well, another team who are playing against Lazio. Still quite a high chance of a clean sheet, but I think you'd be more interested in them when it comes to the second leg and they're playing the home fixture. Inter have a quite high chance of a clean sheet. Arsenal, high chance of a clean sheet playing against Porto. And PSG playing at home against Real Sociedad as well. Real Madrid, PSV and Barcelona, Napoli and Atletico all kind of in the orange there. Whether they'll keep a clean sheet or not, it doesn't look like much of a high chance. So if you're going to be going for any defenders from there, you're probably going to be wanting attacking returns or ball recoveries. And then we've got Dortmund, Leipzig, Porto, Sociedad, Lazio and Copenhagen, all with very little chance of a clean sheet. Now I took these odds from, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago these odds were made. The link will be in the description to the website where I got them from. I'm quite surprised to see the likes of Dortmund at 19% playing against PSV. I thought the way Dortmund are undefeated since they last played in the Champions League, they are on a pretty decent run. So I'm quite surprised to see such a low odds of a clean sheet. Similar to Inter having such high odds of a clean sheet, I feel like there's a fairly decent chance of Atletico Madrid scoring, but the odds are the odds, and obviously this is just a rough idea of what kind of defenders you want to be picking. So next up is a very important but very underlooked aspect of UCL Fantasy, and that is the ball recoveries. So looking at the Champions League ball recoveries so far, obviously everyone's played 6 matches. We do have Mats Hummels at 9.5, who's leading the way. Now if you don't know how the ball recoveries work, for every 3 ball recoveries that a player makes, they get an extra point. So we're looking at, on average, an extra 3 points that Mats Hummels picks up every game. So I think if you're looking for a Dortmund defender, obviously we're just talking about them playing against PSV, having a low chance of keeping a clean sheet, but I definitely think it should be higher than that. I think there is a fair chance, especially in the home fixture, that Dortmund could pick up a clean sheet there. So if you're looking for ball recoveries and a clean sheet, I think Mats Hummels could be quite good. We've also got Kim at 9.2, has been away with the Asian Cup, so he hasn't been playing for Bayern recently, but obviously South Korea just got eliminated this week, and he should be back for Bayern. Also got Gila in there for Lazio. He's only 4 million. He is the cheapest defender available for Lazio, sitting at 9 ball recoveries. Obviously not as great that he's playing against Bayern Munich, but again, you would be relying on ball recoveries there, and he is a very, very, very good enabler in there, but you probably will be taking him out after the second leg's played. Vavro as well, another one, you're really, similar to Gila, you are really just looking to pick up some ball recovery points there. Skriniar at 7.2 for PSG, again a fairly decent fixture for PSG, quite high on the clean sheet odds as well. However, he did pick up an injury and I believe he's in rehabilitation, so I'm not sure. We're going to have to wait on some team news on that, so make sure to follow me on Twitter, which is just above me there, because I do post team news, any team news that we get as we lead up to the deadline. Çalhanoğlu, 7 ball recoveries. It looks like a very, very good pick. He's obviously on penalties for Inter as well. He does play, he's guaranteed to start most games, and he does pick up goals as well, set pieces and stuff. He is basically on all of those, and again has the added bonus of ball recoveries. Vardiol and Diaz, 2 players. I think if you're going to go for defenders, they're the 2 you go for. Obviously Vardiol not as important, because he only played 3 of the 6 group stage games for Man City, so you can't guarantee he's going to play. Diaz, I think, is the more nailed on guy there, with 5 out of 6 played, and he only missed out the last game where Man City were already qualified anyway. We've got Patric, again similar to Gila, just in my opinion just the lesser option there. Gila's more nailed, Patric is 0.1 more expensive, and he's got less ball recoveries. De Vrij, Boscagli, Carmo. I don't want to go through them all, otherwise this video will end up way too long, but you can see them on your screen there, and that is basically the top players for the most ball recoveries. So looking at our best picks then from each of the teams, obviously with Man City we have Haaland, Foden and Diaz. Again, pretty straightforward with those. I do think with De Bruyne, if Man City were to basically destroy Copenhagen in the first leg, you'd have a chance of him being benched in the second leg, so I don't think I would guarantee him as nailed. Foden obviously played every single game and he's on fantastic form right now as well, so I've got him. Haaland's obviously the number 1 player. I think you cannot have a team without Haaland. Then Diaz, again, as I just spoke about, it would be my preferred option to Vardiol in there. I do think he is basically the most nailed in the City defence, and obviously the ball recoveries are quite high as well. Looking at Real Madrid, Bellingham, of course, again, probably up there with Haaland as the best UCL Fantasy player this year. Vinny Jr., just kind of to get a Real Madrid attacker in there, I think it's between him, Joselu, Rodrigo, whatever one you really want. I think Vinicius Jr. has the most quality though, that's why he's in there for me. Then I've got Lunin, a 4.5 million goalkeeper, could be a pretty decent option. It does look like he has taken the number 1 spot off of Kepa now. He has started the last couple of games. I don't think Real Madrid have been too happy with Kepa's performances, which is why Lunin is getting that chance in there. So I think at 4.5 million, if you're looking for someone who should go quite far in the tournament and is quite cheap, I think he could be quite good. Looking at the Leipzig players is where I'm a bit more hesitant. I think Openda looks like the best option. He has scored a goal in each of his last 3 games, despite Leipzig having some pretty poor form, which is why I don't think they're going to go too far in the tournament. I think Real Madrid will put them out. Xavi Simons is another one. I don't think he's been as good as he was previously when we were watching him in the group stages. He has only got 1 goal and 1 assist in his last 10 matches, and he just isn't really performing as well. I don't know if that's down to Leipzig's general performance, but he just doesn't seem to be as good. Obviously, at 6.5 million, he is still an absolute bargain, so if you did want to risk it, you could go for that, but again, it is a game against Real Madrid, and they aren't likely to progress further than that. We've got Rom as well in there, just in case you wanted an attacking defender. Again, I don't think Leipzig are going to be keeping a clean sheet, but if you're looking for someone who's going to get attacking returns, I think he could be quite decent. Finally, for the Tuesday, we've got the Copenhagen games. We have Vavro in here. I probably wouldn't be picking any Copenhagen players, but if you really did want one, again, Vavro was in the ball recoveries list, so I would be going for him just for those extra ones. Next up for the Wednesday, we're obviously going to have Kylian Mbappe. They are up there with the best players in the world right now, and again, a pretty decent fixture against Real Sociedad. I definitely would be considering him up front. Hakimi, again, if you wanted a defender, I think he's definitely the best option. Between him and Skriniar anyway. Skriniar obviously for the ball recoveries, and if he is fit and available. Hakimi definitely has that bigger attack and return chance though. Then we have Zaire Emery as well, who is actually the highest scoring PSG player this season in UCL Fantasy. Plays in midfield, has had 2 Player of the Match awards, which is definitely one to consider, and he does look like a pretty decent option if you're looking for a cheap midfielder. The Bayern players, there's obviously not really too much to consider. We know how good Kane is. I prefer Musiala to Sané. I think in terms of recent form and just general play, I think Musiala is probably the better pick there. And then we've got Kim as well. Obviously spoke about his ball recoveries in there as well. Gila, again, someone we spoke about their ball recoveries already. For Real Sociedad, Mendes, obviously kind of playing as an out of position player, as a midfielder in the game, but he is kind of playing at striker. Definitely looks like a good pick. We've got Traore, who is a popular cheap defender in the group stages. Again, probably wouldn't go there, but if you are looking for someone who is cheap, you could always pick that one. Then we've got Zubimendi, who is another cheap midfielder, really just for the ball recoveries in there as well. For Tuesday the 20th of February, we are looking at Dortmund. Hummels, again, top for the ball recoveries list. If you're looking for a defender, he would be the one to go for. Again, with PSV, I do think there is a higher chance than the odds say of Dortmund keeping a clean sheet, but again, you do always have the ball recovery back up there. Füllkrug as well. Dortmund have had 4 games since the winter break, and he's scored a hat-trick in one of them and scored another goal in another. So I do think if you want someone, I think it could be a high-scoring game, the PSV and Dortmund. At least there is a definite chance of it being one. Füllkrug's probably going to be the attacker that you're going to want to go for. Between him and Malen, I think, but Füllkrug is the main striker, and obviously he has recently just scored a hat-trick, so if anyone's going to be getting the goals, it's going to be him. Then I've got Maatsen in there as well, someone who's just came on loan from Chelsea and played in all 4 games, played 90 minutes in all 4 games for Dortmund since joining, and at left back he's picked up an assist in there, and he's averaging 7 ball recoveries per game as well in the Bundesliga, so that's maybe an extra 2 points you're looking at as well. He is only 4.5 million, and he is playing very, very well. He's just been nominated for the Rookie Player of the Month in the Bundesliga as well. So if you're looking for a cheap Dortmund defender, I think Maatsen could be a very good pick. Then we have Inter and Atletico, 2 teams I probably would avoid because I think the outcome of the match is very 50-50. However, Inter do look quite good defensively. They have not conceded a goal in their last 3 games, so if you are looking for someone, probably would go for DeMarco. Again, there is a rotation risk with him. Someone like Dumfries on the other side was quite popular in the group stages, but he just hasn't been playing for Inter. So I would go to the other side and look at DeMarco. Obviously could get rotated with Augusto though, so there is always that risk that you take there. Çalhanoğlu obviously on the set pieces looks probably like the best attacker for Inter. Then we've got Sommer, who just has been the value goalkeeper this season, along with Ramiro for Real Sociedad, so I like him as a pick. For Atletico, I prefer Griezmann to Morata. He is more nailed, he does get more minutes, and he does on average get more goals. Then I've got Molina in there as well. I think it's between Molina and Lino. Lino does look like the more explosive pick at left wing back. However, he isn't as nailed, and he is listed as a midfielder, so you don't get the clean sheet points that Molina does, so I do prefer Molina for that reason. For PSV, we have De Jong and Buscaglia. Now again, if you are desperately wanting a PSV player, De Jong's probably the one to go for. He has got 8 goals and 1 assist in his last 5 Eredivisie matches, so I think if anyone's going to be scoring for PSV again, it's going to be him. Then I've got Buscaglia in there again for the ball recoveries, which we have already spoke about. Looking at Wednesday the 21st, Saka, Jesus, Gabriel, 3 players for Arsenal that I think everyone will probably be looking at. Saka and Gabriel at least. I think the striker spots might be a bit more different. Saka obviously way ahead in terms of the points in UCL Fantasy for Arsenal players. Listed as a midfielder, gets more points for goals than Jesus does. However, Jesus has still been doing very well in the Champions League. We should be back for injury. I believe he's available for the weekend's game against West Ham, so he should be okay for the Champions League. And then Gabriel, of course, probably the more attacking threat of the two centre-backs between Gabriel and Saliba, so I'd be picking Gabriel there. For Barcelona, we do have Lamine Yamal as the best player available. Down as a midfielder, 7.4 million. I think he could be quite decent. He is now looks nailed in the Barcelona team. He has played 90 minutes in the last 5 matches at right wing, so I would be looking at him if you're wanting a Barcelona player that is going to be nailed. I'd be looking at him. I think he could be quite good. Cancelo, obviously one of the highest scoring defenders, did have a bit of an injury scare, but he should be okay. Same with Gundogan. He came off with an injury in his last game. He has been doing quite well. He's been playing 90 minutes. I think he has had 90 minutes in 3 of the last 5, including a 120 minute game in there as well, and he just came off as a sub with an injury scare in the last game, but Xavi confirmed that it was nothing, so he should be alright as well. Di Lorenzo, probably the only player I would pick from Napoli. They haven't been as great this season as they were last season. They are sitting 7th in the table, so I think with how good Di Lorenzo is, I probably would still pick him. He is obviously one of the UCL fantasy heroes. He is always fantastic, can pick up goals, can pick up assists. Obviously it is going to be a difficult game against Barcelona, but he is probably still worth going for, just because of how good he is. Then finally we've got Porto. Galeno, we know how good Galeno is. A hero for a lot of people in Matchday 6 after picking up a massive haul. And then we've got Evanilson as well. Someone who picked up 7 goals in his last 5 games, and he is quite a cheap one if you wanted to go for a differential. He is only 7.2 million, so I'd be looking there if you want a Porto player against Arsenal. It is always an option. And signing off the video with some final tips, I do think you should get players that are going to qualify. I've kind of been speaking about it throughout the video, but you want to be picking players that you think are going to go far in the tournament, so you don't have to make as many transfers. Obviously, you get 3 for the 3 for the second leg, and then you get 5 before we move into the quarterfinals. So it should be enough to kind of move things about for any surprise exits for a lot of players. But you don't want to be, again, as I was saying, you don't want to be picking 3 Inter players and 3 Atletico players, because you're guaranteed to going to have to take 3 of them out, because one of them is going to get eliminated. So just be sure, if you think a team's going to get eliminated, only pick maybe one of those players. For example, Porto, pick one of Galeno and Evanilson. If you think they'll do well against Arsenal, don't go for both, because then you're pretty much locking in 2 transfers unless there is a big upset. Have 4 good captains as well. You don't want to be stuck 2-3 bad captaincies down the line with a really bad captain on the final day. It's just it's a good habit to get into, just to make sure you've got a good captain. Similar to being able to gamble on those captaincies, if on match day 1 you wanted to gamble on someone like Foden instead of Haaland, you can do that, because then you've got 3 good backup options after that. And again, with the last tip, opportunity for punts. Even if it's not your captaincy, you do have the subs bench there available. You've got more of a chance because there's so many games or so many game days. So again, if you wanted to gamble on say Doku is confirmed, you could always go for him, and then take him out for someone on the bench, whether that's on the Wednesday, the Tuesday, or the Wednesday after that. So that is basically the end of this video. I don't really think there's too much else to go off of. We obviously will have the team selection video out on Monday, so make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for that. Again, if you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like. It goes a long way and it only takes 2 seconds. So again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.